Happy anniversary, FSMS. It's a great time to be a surveyor.
I followed Bob Jackson as president, and Bob's a great guy. He was a lot of fun. He left me the society in pretty good shape, I must say, although at that time the economy was really in the tank. It was a rough year for us. It was rough to keep membership up, but we worked really hard, and I was really proud of everyone in the society, the executive committee, the board of directors. We all worked hard to keep membership up and to keep everybody's spirits up through that year. And I was fortunate enough to receive an invitation from the South Dakota Society of Professional Surveyors to come out to their annual meeting. They were having a 50th anniversary, and they invited presidents from all over the country. Marilyn and I flew out there, and we were fortunate enough to go to Mount Rushmore. And while we were there, I did something I've never done before, and we took a helicopter ride, which was a lot of fun all around Mount Rushmore. And in addition to that, we got to meet a lot of nice guys out there and had a good time in South Dakota. At that time, we had been trying for years to privatize our regulatory board. We had been fighting our current regulatory board, which was the Department of Business and Professional Regulation, which we were feeling we were not being serviced very well by them. So for years we had researched the possibility of privatizing our board, much like the physicians do. Somewhat quickly came up an opportunity for us to move to the FDAS, which is the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. The enforcement end of the FDACS is what really encouraged us to think about this move. We had many problems with unlicensed activity, and FDACS had the authority to pursue those types of activities a little more. I think that the move overall was good for the society, good for the membership, and I have spoken to past presidents about the move and what they thought about it and asked them flat out, tell me honestly, and everyone I spoke to so far has thought that it was a good move. And I'm proud that I was part of that and that I made that happen. When I was president, I developed a close relationship with Ron Villela, our lobbyist, with Smith Bryan. He was a great guy. We were a little bit of brothers in arms. He did a great job for society. He was well connected. He was very well known in Tallahassee, and I'd like to think of a personal friend of Ron's outside of FSMS to a point, and we're really going to miss him and wish we could still have him. I was fortunate enough to meet the current Commissioner of Agriculture, Charlie Bronson, great guy from the middle of the state, down-to-earth guy. And that's when we were talking about the privatization, the move to the Department of Agriculture with him being the commissioner. We had some good meetings with him. I enjoyed meeting him very much. And then I was fortunate later on, a year or two later, to be able to meet Adam Putnam, our current Commissioner of Agriculture. And I think they both have been good for the society. Being a member of FSMS, I just want to say that how hard the society and the staff work for all of us. It's very easy for us day to day, when we get in our cars, go to work, go home, to forget how much work is being done behind the scenes by the society to help protect our profession, protect our society, make our life easier and make our life better as professional surveyors. And I am proud to be a member of FSMS.
By the time I came in, unemployment was well over 10%, and I think even gaining at that point in time. Steve Stinson had passed the reins on to me. Unemployment was an issue. Workforces were being completely wiped out. Talent was being laid off and unemployed at the time. Even talented surveyors were being laid off, something we had never experienced, or I had never experienced prior to that. We just came off also the oil spill. Another problem we had right after my coming in was Amendment number 4. Amendment number 4 posed a real problem because it required a public referendum for even small land use changes at local municipality issues. Fortunately, we weathered the storm. Again, it showed the strength of FSMS and its strength with its membership and its ability to battle legislative issues at the state level. Also during the year, we worked with design liability issues. That became to the forefront pretty quickly as well when surveyors and engineers were being brought into suits with very, very high liability responsibilities. And so we worked on that issue as well. But during the year, I guess the big one was probably deregulation. That happened towards the end of the session, and it was polarizing. It brought out the best and the worst in people. It was a time, and I don't want to be negative, but the truth of the matter is that particular year was extremely difficult for the society and the profession. And I don't want to undershadow the amount of work that was done by the society in its efforts. But it was polarizing. I saw people do things that I never thought they would do. It was an eye-opening experience. But at the end of the day, it showed the strength of the society to be able to pull together, to rally the troops and go after an issue that was extremely important to all of us. Deregulation was one of the worst times that I think I have seen in our profession as a threat. And it was an eye-opener. It was a really, truthfully eye-opener as to individuals and what they are capable of doing. And it was a positive. If at any time anybody needed to understand why they wanted to be a member of FSMS, if that one didn't do it for you, nothing will do it for you. It showed the strength of the society at that point in time. Something I was personally proud of was a written investment plan. Now that was something that was on our strategic plan. Now, I took the strategic plan to heart. It was just a tough year, and we worked through it, and I was very proud of the society for the effort it was able to pull forward.
We were very concerned with the amount of surveyors coming out of the University of Florida and where our supply was coming from for the future, and even at that point in time finding qualified help. We hired the first recruiter that year in order to help get more people into the program, and help with our education program. I think that because of the number of years of very, very heavy support from FSMS for that program, we knew that was one of the only program in the state of Florida whereby a potential surveyor could get that 4-year degree. That was an issue that we really didn't want to lose, and we worked really hard with everyone to get that program to keep it alive. Well, coming in following John Clyatt, he left the society in very good shape. I think if I recall correctly, John only told me one thing before I was sworn in, and that was, don't sink the ship. And I remember standing at the podium with my acceptance speech with a white knuckle grip on the podium thinking, don't sink the ship. I don't think I did. It's been a time where I've made a lot of friends, and professionally and personally gone through a lot of growth as far as my professionalism and my management and leadership, things like that. I think that the society really gave me a boost, especially with my year as president. I would just say that this membership needs to know that they have a great society that cares about them, and it only has the surveying profession and the good of the surveying profession at heart. And if you have the opportunity ever to be a part of it as a board member or a local chapter officer, you need to do it. It's great experience.
Yeah, I strongly encourage everyone to get involved with the society. It's a rewarding experience to know that you're helping others come up through the ranks and to help continue to strengthen our profession. So everybody needs to get involved with the society. And a big thing for me being president was going around to the chapters. I really enjoyed that. It was great getting around. There were some people I hadn't seen in 20 years. I saw these chapters. So to me, that was one of the most fun parts for me, was going around to the chapters and preaching, trying to get everybody to get involved. I recall being very enthusiastic during my presidency. So we moved the conferences around during my term, and we had one in Sarasota. So the night before, we were out at the park out there. And Lou, who was somewhat a buddy of mine, and we kind of got closer as the time went by. He decided he wanted to show me his new pickup truck, and it was this big, wild-looking truck. And so I took a ride with him in it. This thing would do like 80 in 6 seconds or something like that. It was an experience for me. One of the big highlights is we got funding through the legislature for the extension campuses at the University of Florida for our surveying program, and 3 other extension campuses that would be Fort Lauderdale, Milton, and Plant City. So this made it a lot easier for people to take the surveying class. We also started the e-learning, which was helped a lot of members out. So this was a big benefit to the membership. The endowment, we went to the Community Foundation of North Florida, and that was decided by the board after we did some research and decided what group to go with. And we met down there and presented a check for $100,000, which was strictly out of our operating checking account. So we were so happy the way we had come in 10 years, but 10 years before that we were in pretty bad shape, and so we were so happy at how far we had come in 10 years, so it was really an honor to be part of that.
See, the funniest thing that happened during my tenure as president of FSMS would have to be when I was giving the presentation for the dedication at the initial point in Tallahassee. I began my speech with the comment that it's a little uneasy being a Gator surrounded by Seminoles in Seminole country. As soon as I said that comment, this large gust of wind came and blew over everything that was standing up next to me, all the placards and our displays and everything else. Everyone erupted in laughter. That was my most entertaining point, though. The big item of my year would have to be summed up in 3 words: standards of practice. We initiated the change from standards of practice during my year, and is driven by the legal committee, legislative committee, and there were many, many debates over many, many nights, many, many meetings throughout the year of standards of practice and minimum technical standards. How was this all going to work out? What was the right way to go? What was the wrong way to go? Without fail, almost every chapter that we spoke to, once they heard what we had to say about the change of standards of practice, while there were still uneasy feelings there with some of them, most of them were much more at ease. You could see it in their faces. The tension started to go away, and they started to be more receptive to the idea. And it was a very good response. At the conference in Ponte Vedra Beach, which was my outgoing conference, it happened to be the same location as where I had met my wife Pam some 25 years earlier. So that was a big deal for me at that time. It sort of culminated the whole FSMS experience, being president of the student chapter in 1989, and then being president of the society at the same time in 2014. It was a really nice moment for she and I. Ken Glass left the society in great hands. Having now been through that year as president, I can understand a lot more now than I did during Ken's tenure. A lot of the things that he did or didn't do, even more importantly didn't do, make sense to me now.
I made a little campaign on my own to talk to the different chapters and see if they'd convert their checks to be for the computer lab, and so they could get the matching funds. So that worked out well, and they got what they needed, and they'll have a brand new computer lab. So that was I see that as a personal thing that I did that I liked to do, that was helping my alma mater too. I'd say if you don't change, you're going to be left behind. We've seen that already. We kind of got left out of the GIS side, and now I don't want us to be left out of the UAVs, drones, as you will say, but we need to embrace the technology, be the one that's on the forefront. Well, I was happy we started the Young Professionals group, and then I think the Emerging Technologies group was a good start too. That's a good group that we've started, and I like what's going on with that.
I was president 2011, 2012, and I think most of the other past presidents will have to tell you they couldn't have done it without Marilyn's help, without the help of their wives. And I got to say thank you to Leanne, my 2 kids, Jennifer and Caroline, and my partners at Civil Serve, in particular Jack Breed and Christy Breed. They really gave me a lot of support and have always supported FSMS. The most memorable thing to me is the fellow surveyors that I met going to various chapter meetings. You kind of gain an understanding of how other people around the state feel. You also realize that a lot of us are pretty much the same mindset. We have pretty much the same goals as far as business goes. We want to see our profession do well. And, you know, there's a lot of good that we do as chapters and stuff in helping other organizations around the state. As far as, I know Tallahassee was helping a women's center at the time. Pop Tops for Ronald McDonald House in Naples and Fort Myers, and there's a lot of chapters help at Christmas time with Toys for Tots, and that's the type of thing that helps us as surveyors and mappers get ourselves out into the community and help everybody, and gives us a good name. You have a lot of people that you can rely on to help you make decisions. It's not just you standing up there making every decision. You have the whole board of directors up there helping you. You have your executive committee helping you. You've got the administration helping you. We have our lobbyist, David Daniels, helping with legislative issues. There's just a lot of people that help you run the society, make decisions, and it's just not all on you. And yes, it does take a little bit of time, but it's time well spent meeting fellow surveyors, meeting other constituents that we are partnered with. And overall, it was a fun time. I mean, you got to meet more people than you can remember their names. Now we have drones to help map all our data and do it quickly and more efficiently. I'm sure back 60 years ago, they didn't even fathom that possibility. But we've managed as a society and as a profession to move ahead and tackle everything that's come ahead of us, and FSMS has helped us get through those challenges. I think it's a great time to be a surveyor, and I'm sure even back then, 60 years ago, they thought it was a great time to be a surveyor.